Hey everyone, and welcome back to another great episode on the Hope and Renewal podcast. This is where faith meets real life and hard truth is held with compassion. Again, this is your favorite host, Antonio Banks. I want to thank you for tuning in. I hope and pray that this message speaks to your heart. And if it does, that you do not keep it to yourself, but you will share it with somebody else. On this message episode, we're diving into that resonates deeply with many of us. And before I get started, I want to get into the heart of it. Let me start with a story, like I always do. One straight out of my childhood. See, growing up, my mother used to tell me something repeatedly, which I'm sure that most of you who are listening had the same parents. They tell you something repeatedly. So many times that it became part of my heartbeat. She'll look me in the eye and say this: Antonio Deshaun Banks, do not be a follower, be a leader. Because when things start to fall, you don't want to be the one who gets taken down with them. As a kid, I didn't fully understand that. See, to me, it sounded like one of those parental sayings you hear growing up. As I witnessed those around me become involved in unexpected situations, her words started to resonate with me and make sense. I remember being around 10 or 11 years old, out in the projects in Nashville, hanging around a group of neighborhood kids. There were older boys everyone admired, and it wasn't because they had anything good going for them, but because they were bold, reckless, and fearless. And you know those type of kids. And one day they tugged at someone's car door and laughed, treating it like a game. And you know the kids are, their curiosity pulls you forward. Everybody started leaning in, wanting to see what would happen. Meanwhile, I was standing there, that familiar voice echoed in my mind: Antonio Deshaun Banks, don't be a follower. Because when one falls, everybody falls. So what I did, I stepped back and then I walked away. 5 minutes later, police cars turned the corner, lights flashing, voice shouting. Kids were scattering everywhere. Some of them got caught, and it wasn't because they broke into the car. It was because they were standing close enough to get blamed. And what that day taught me was this: dominoes don't just fall on the one who pushes the first piece. They fall on everyone close enough to get hit. See, my mother wasn't warning me about trouble. She was warning me about life, about patterns, about chain reactions, about cycles that fall from generation into the next. And this brings me to today's episode: the domino effect. See, I remember being asked one time, I was at my buddy's house, if I knew how to play dominoes. I was clueless. So, as a teenager, I said, the only dominoes I know are the ones you stack up and knock down. Everybody laughed, but inside, something clicked. Because sometimes life feels just like that. You spend years stacking pieces: your career, your reputation, your healing, and your relationships. Then one moment, one wrong move, one expected situation, and it feels like everything collapses. So, however, today I want to take that idea further. Sometimes the domino effect doesn't start with you. It starts with what you saw growing up. It starts with what you were taught. It starts with what you felt but never understood. See, your parents way of handling stress, their way of loving or not loving, their way of forgiving or holding grudges, what that does is lay the pattern for our lives long before we ever touch a piece of it. I've seen this in my oldest son. And it's not because he's failing, far from it, because I recognize pieces of myself in him. Pieces I didn't mean to pass down. Pain I didn't know was visible. Reactions I didn't realize he was watching. And admitting that is hard. But what it does is starts the healing with awareness. Because once you recognize the pattern, you gain the power to change it. And breaking a generational chain doesn't mean acting like the past never happened. It means learning from it, talking about it, and praying over it, deciding intentionally that it ends with you. The dominoes may have been falling for years. God gives you the strength to stand back up at that time. Think about driving down the interstate. You're in a lane, music up, life's smooth. Then suddenly, brake lights. Traffic slows. Frustration rises. You ask this question, why are we stopping? What happened? And the truth is, someone far ahead tapped their brakes. The chain reaction finally reached you. The same way that life works. Some of your struggles didn't start with you. They just reached you. Your parents' unresolved pain, your grandparents' silence, your mother's brokenness, your family's fear, anger, trauma, all those things created slowdowns in your life that you never asked for. And God can use you to create a new reaction, one that brings healing instead of harm. So this domino effect isn't only in families. It shows up at work too. Walk in with a bad attitude, those spreads. Walk in speaking negatively, those spreads. Walk in with gratitude, kindness, and respect, those spreads too. Everywhere we go, we're either continuing the chain of brokenness or starting a chain of blessings. You choose. See, the domino effect didn't start with your generation. It didn't start with your parents. It actually began in the Garden of Eden. Adam, Adam and Eve had everything: peace, purpose, and provision. God's presence every single day. But one moment, one decision changed everything. And it wasn't because the fruit looked evil. It was because it looked appealing. And that's how the enemy works. He makes wrong look optional. He makes compromise look harmless. And Eve took a bite. Adam followed. And instantly, the dominoes fell. Innocent lost, shame born, trust was broken, and humanity separated from God. One decision created a chain reaction that continues to affect humanity to this very day. Even in their fall, God came searching for them, though. Adam, where are you? And it wasn't because he didn't know their location. It was because he wanted them to recognize their condition. God still asks us that today. Romans 5:19 says this: through one man's disobedience, many became sinners. Through one man's obedience, many will be made righteous. Adam's decisions started the fall. Jesus' decisions started the rise. Adam hid in his shame. Jesus hung on a cross to remove that shame. Adam's fall brought death. Jesus' obedience brought life. So when he went to that cross, he stood in front of every falling domino in your life and said this stops here. Every curse, every addiction, every generational issue, every mistake, every shameful moment broken by the blood. And maybe today you're standing in the middle of the chain reaction that began before you were even born. Maybe pieces are falling all around you. Family issues, trauma, patterns, silence, pain. I want you to hear me out though. God can stop the fall. You can be the one in your family who says, no more. It ends with me. I'm building something different. I'm passing down peace, not pain. I'm passing down healing, not hurt. One act of faith can change everything. So as we close today, remember this. The story of Adam and Eve isn't just about what went wrong. It's about what God made right. The same God who redeemed their fall can redeem your story. I want to leave you with this question. Are you continuing the domino effect that broke you? Or are you allowing God to start the one who heals you? I want to thank you for listening to another episode on the Hope and Renewal podcast. Do not forget to go subscribe and follow on Spotify, YouTube, Amazon Music, iHeart, Apple Music, and Pandora Music. This is your favorite host, Antonio Banks. Until next time, stay focused, stay faithful, and let God guide your next domino.